A big draft and a busy trade deadline have brought a bunch of change to the Mariners farm system. Today, we begin putting the pieces together of our midseason prospect rankings with numbers 30 through 21. Colby, hit it.
You are Locked On Mariners, your daily Seattle Mariners podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Ahoy, sailors. It is Tuesday, August 12th, 2025. This is Teddy Gonzalez and Colby Patnode for the Locked On Mariners podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Football season is around the corner. Visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your futures bets now. And as always, if you want to hear from me and Colby even more and help support the show, you can check out our Patreon. All you have to do to check that out is click the link in the description of this episode. So today we're kicking off our 2025 midseason re-rank of the Mariners farm system with, of course, prospects 30 through 21. 20 through 11 will drop tomorrow, and then the top 10 will drop on Thursday. And a lot of you by now probably know how this works already. But for those of you that are either new to the show, or maybe this is the first time you've seen us do our prospect rankings, or maybe you just need a refresher, basically how this works is Colby makes a top 30 list. I make a top 30 list. We combine those two lists using a points-based system to create the list that you're going to see over the next 3 days. And this is going to be a very different looking list than the last one we did before the season, because thanks in large part to the draft and the trade deadline, there are going to be 16 prospects in our new rankings that either didn't make the cut last time or, of course, weren't in the organization the last time we did this. So a lot of new faces to talk about. However, we're actually going to start with a familiar face. The guy that came in number 30 the last time we did this is our number 30 now. Carlos Himenez, outfielder, 22 years old, down in Modesto. Colby had him 29 on his list. I didn't have him ranked. He was one of my bubble guys. Colby, tell us about Carlos Himenez.
Yeah, interesting dude, some tools to work with here. He's 22 years old, and he's repeating Modesto, which is a bit of a red flag. But, you know, when you get down this low on the list, they all have red flags. So, yeah, he's a lefty-lefty. Can play all three outfield spots. He's fine in center field, better in a corner, but he's fine in center field, plus runner. Well, above average runner, let's call it. And he is running into some power this year, more specifically over the fence power, which I kind of think might be a bit of a mistake. I think he's more of a, slash it into the gaps and run type of guy, but he does seem to be trying to get to more of his natural pull power that he does have. And in some respects, it's worked. He's got 13 home runs this year. That's a career high. But his slugging percentage is also, 20 points lower than it was last year at Modesto. He's stolen 22 bases this year already, which he stole 22 last year, but the strikeouts are already a new career high for him, but the walks are going to be as well. So it's a bit more of a 3 true outcome type of approach from him this year. So again, I'm not wild about that, but he's a guy who can play center field. It's a guy who can steal bases. He draws a lot of walks still. And there's pop there. Now, again, I don't love the profile change. I think this guy would be better off just trying to hit the gaps and running and playing some good defense, but there still are enough tools here and a little bit of time to put it all together where I think he could potentially be, close to an everyday big leaguer. Whereas some other guys who are on the bubble for me, I don't see everyday big league, ceiling for them, even though they probably have significantly higher floors, because Himenez's floor is that he never gets past, Everett or Arkansas. So I do think they need to pump him up, give him a shot here against better competition. He will be 23 at the start of spring training next year. So it is a profile that's running out of time a little bit, but there's still enough tools here that with his ability to play up the middle and his ability to steal bases and draw walks, that I'm willing to give him a bit more time. But it's not indefinite. He probably won't be on this list next time we do this. But for now, there's just enough tools and just enough production that I'm still intrigued by Carlos Himenez.
Yeah, when I was trying to figure out my bubble guys and who was going to make the last few spots on my list, the question that I asked really with Himenez is why is he not in high A? What's the reason for that? And I don't have the answer to that, but I'm really curious, like why the Mariners haven't allowed him to have that shot, because he's had plenty of time down in Modesto, and while he's regressed from what he did last year, he's still producing quite a bit, like you mentioned. So I'm just a bit curious as to why he hasn't gotten a promotion yet. So coming in at 29 is a great example of how weaker the back end of the top 30 has gotten with some of the trades that the Mariners made over the last couple of weeks. Because a profile like Charlie Binsson, who comes in here at number 29, 25-year-old right-handed reliever only profile, that typically wouldn't make this list for us. But I'm trying to look for some probability here, and that's why he made my list. He didn't make Colby's. He came in at number 28 for me. He's the first of the 16 guys that I mentioned that are new to this list. It really came down to him or Tyler Cleveland, because both of those guys are pretty much in similar situations. Both are 25 years old. Both have spent most of the season with Everett, just recently got called up to Arkansas. Both are having success in Arkansas here in the early going. If you want to go with the funky delivery of Cleveland, I don't blame you. I decided to go with Binsson, though. It isn't really like a super impressive fastball on the surface. It's low to mid 90s, but he's getting quite a bit of swing and miss on it. And he also has that kick change that is pretty darn good. And in general, he's missing a lot of bats right now. He's throwing a ton of strikes as well. He's not really offering any free passes. And if you can do those two things, you're probably going to get a shot at some point at the big league level. And that probably will happen relatively soon for Binsson because of his age. So I don't know. This is a guy that I see, again, we're at the back end of the top 30. There are a lot of guys here that we could potentially put in here that might not even sniff AAA, let alone the big leagues. So I'm just going with like someone that I think might be involved in a bullpen competition, for one of those last few spots in spring training next year, or at least, get a cup of coffee at some point in 2026 with the Mariners. That's kind of what I was looking for here. I think Binsson kind of fits that. And again, he's having quite a bit of success right now, but he's a 25-year-old relief only type. So there's only so much that I can be intrigued by here.
Yeah, maybe like a Nick Vincent type of ceiling.
Yeah, sure.
Which, useful reliever for a lot of years. So, yeah, I probably prefer Cleveland just because of the funky arm delivery and the submarine, and it's kind of like Adam Simber to give you guys a more modern comp to it. But both of those guys to me, they're just kind of interchangeable fringe top 30 guys. No chance they start. So, but fear not, the top 20 is really good. So, don't worry about your number 28 and 29 prospects aren't that great. Like that.
Yeah,
that's fine.
So coming in at number 28 is another guy that you had on your list. Didn't make the cut for me. That's a right-handed pitcher, Christian Little, pitching right now in Modesto. What do you like about Christian Little?
Yeah, he does a little bit of everything really well, but it's never really come together for him. Like he's got pretty good stuff. He throws pretty good, amount of strikes. It's pretty good delivery. It's just the results just haven't been there really ever. And this is a guy who at one point was a pretty hype draft prospect. And then he went to school and, he was fine. Like it wasn't anything terrible, but he disappointed and he's been consistently disappointing. But when you look at the stuff here, when you look at the athleticism, there still is a lot to work with. And Seattle is if any organization is going to get the most out of this guy, it's him. So I look at him and I say, hey, with the stuff and all this, there could still be a number 4 starter here. I don't think he's got a tremendous amount of time to get there. Seeing as though he was, a college draft pick and he hasn't performed quite as well as you would like. But I like the stuff. I like the total 4-pitch mix. I like that he throws a good amount of strikes, or at least he can. I like that he's an athlete. And it's just a shot in the dark. There's not a ton of projectable guys this low on the list. And I do think that there is a major league role for him potentially. Do I think he's likely to get there? No, probably not. That's just kind of the way things work. But is there a chance at a 4-pitch, number 4, number 5 starter here? Yeah. And that's a lot more that could be said than, when we're trying to decide which middle relief types belong in the top 30. This guy could be a number 5, number 4 if everything clicks really well. Like, I think he probably deserves to have a spot in the top 30.
All right, we will continue prospects 30 through 21 in just a moment. But first, a reminder, this episode of the Locked On Mariners podcast is brought to you by OpenPhone and FanDuel. If you run in a business, you know that every missed call is money left on the table. Think about the last time you had a service emergency, like a burst pipe. If the first plumber didn't answer, did you wait? No, you called the next one. That's why having a reliable business line is so important. And that's why you need OpenPhone. OpenPhone is the #1 business phone system that helps you streamline and scale customer communication, all from an app on your phone or computer. OpenPhone is offering Locked On Mariners listeners 20% off your first 6 months at openphone.com/lockedonmlb. That's openphone.com/LOCKEDONMLB. And if you have existing numbers with another service, OpenPhone will port them over at no extra charge. Again, that is openphone.com/lockedonmlb. OpenPhone. No missed calls, no missed customers. August 26th is officially FanDuel Futures Day, a brand new holiday for football fans who live for bold predictions and preseason hunches. For just 24 hours, FanDuel is giving you deals on NFL season predictions. So whether you're calling your MVP, eyeing a long shot division winner, or ready to crown your Super Bowl champ before week 1 even kicks off, this is your moment. I'm taking Lamar Jackson to not only win the MVP, but also finally get over the hump in January to take the Ravens all the way. And if you disagree, you can visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your future bets now, because Futures Day is one day and one day only. FanDuel, play your game. And you're listening to the Locked On Mariners podcast. For instant reactions following every Mariners game, be sure to tune in to the Mariners postcast with Anderson Hurst and Christopher Crawford, available on both the Locked On Mariners YouTube and podcast feeds. And obviously with us doing our prospect rankings today, tomorrow, and Thursday, we're not going to be talking really at all about the Mariners and Orioles series outside of maybe a little bit on our Patreon show. So if you want some M's, O's talk, be sure to check in with Anders and Chris the next few nights. They got you on that front on the Mariners postcast. All right, let's get back into our prospect rankings here. Number 27, Victor Labrada. This is a 25-year-old outfielder. He's probably going to be 26 by the time he actually makes his major league debut. He is, however, the first guy on this list that we both had on our respective lists, and we were both in agreement on where he should be on this list. 27, we both had him there. He's another one of these guys who is making his first appearance on this list for us. The reason that he makes this list, despite his age, is because he's made some real tangible changes with his swing that have led to success. He dominated down in Double-A after going to Driveline this offseason, picking up, I believe they said 10 miles per hour in bat speed.
Mm-hmm.
That's insane. I mean, it's led to some real production here, especially at Dickey Stevens Park. He dominated down there, 295, 407, 427, obviously repeating the level, but still, that is a pretty significant jump. It was a 43% jump in WRC plus from what he did last year in Double-A. Now he is with Tacoma. The hard hit rates have not carried over to Tacoma so far, though. He's only slugging 364 right now with the Rainiers in 31 games. His average exit velocity is only in the 31st percentile right now. His barrel rate is only the 26th percentile. Hard hit rate is only the 19th percentile. So he's really struggled in that department since coming up to Tacoma. But there are some things that he has carried over from Double-A, like the low chase rates, the low strikeout rates in general, the high walk rates. You know, he's walking 14.6% of the time. He's obviously a menace on the base pass. We're talking about, 30 to 40 bags. Victor Labrada is going to be a solid major leaguer. I think he's going to be a solid fourth outfielder for someone. Maybe that's the Mariners. Maybe that's someone else.
Sure. Kind of similar-ish to Guillermo Heredia, who carved out a nice little career for himself. Heredia probably has more pop. Labrada has more speed. But I just think, in general, that's the type of player you're getting here. And again, at 25, the ceiling is not just going to magically appear for him. His ceiling is a bench guy, but again, a bench guy who can play all three outfield spots, can steal, with enough attempts or with enough, opportunities, I should say, can steal 30, 40 bags at the big league level. Makes enough contact. There's actually a little bit of pop there, although we'll have to see how that plays out in AAA. It's a little too early to call this one, but I think him and like a guy like Jared Sundstrom, who like don't really have a ton of like everyday player upside and are a little bit older, you put Sundstrom here. I don't really care. I think that Labrada is just in that mix of like, probably a ceiling of a bench guy, but maybe a valuable bench guy. And if you guys have paid attention to the show for a while, I very much care about having a good bench and all that stuff. And Labrada is a guy who could help you in that role. And, if everything really clicks for him, maybe he's Gerard Dyson, but I don't think he has the defensive chops to be Dyson. And but just that kind of role where Dyson was really mostly a fourth outfielder who had a couple years where he played a lot. But he's going to steal bases. He's going to make contact. And, you just kind of live with that as the 24th, 25th, 26th guy on your team. And that's, you could do worse. The Mariners are currently doing worse on their bench.
Coming in at number 26 here is right-handed pitcher Chia Shen, 21-year-old down in Modesto. You had him 25th on your list, Colby. I had him 26th, so we're pretty much in agreement there. He's another new face on this list as well. What do you like about Shen?
Yeah, interesting guy. Kind of popped up pretty late here, or pretty recently, I should say. He was a international free agent signing last year, and
he was kind of like one of the late ones too.
Yeah, he's a Taiwanese pitcher. He's 6'3", $185. So in theory, there's time to add good weight and muscle to the frame, but also he's 21. So, how much time, I don't know. But in theory, you could add some muscle to this guy. You could jump up his fastball velo a little bit, which would be nice because he's usually around 92, 93. He's touched 95, 96 in the past. But if you can get him sitting 95, 96, then he can really get to his best pitch, which is a very good changeup. He throws a lot of strikes. He's very athletic. It's a good projectable frame. It's just a matter of right now, he doesn't really have a breaking ball. And there's a question about how much fastball value you're actually going to get. The changeup can really help, but look at Emerson Hancock. Hancock has a pretty good changeup. It's really his best pitch. But because he doesn't really have a fastball that has value to set up the changeup, he can't usually go 5-6 innings without running into trouble. So it's kind of a weird thing because he is fairly new. Shen is fairly new to professional baseball, but he's 21 years old. He's projectable, but we're not quite sure how much he can actually add to his frame. But he is an interesting arm. Again, it's a good athlete with at least 1+ pitch who throws a ton of strikes. And there's some reason to believe that he could have a second or even a third above average pitch. So this is one of those guys where, we might forget about him in a year or two, but stuff wise, he's in a pretty decent spot. And he is quite young in terms of professional baseball. This is only his first year. So this is a guy who could jump up the ranks here in a year or two. This is a guy who could fall off them completely. But right now, again, plus changeup, plus command and control, good frame, athletic, repeats his delivery. There's a lot of tools here. He just has to put it all together. And Seattle really does have to help him find fastball value, which, Seattle's pretty good at. Not the best, but they're pretty good at it. So I think there's a lot of projectability here.
Coming in at number 25 is right-handed pitcher Matt Tiberia, 23 years old. Comes in at number 24 on Colby's list, number 25 on mine, and is another new guy on this list. And Colby, if it wasn't for an arm injury that has apparently shut him down for the rest of the year, we'd be really excited about Tiberia. But he still makes this list, but he had a really good start to the season before going down with the injury. And of course, this is a former Tommy John guy,
Yeah.
We don't have the specifics on what the arm injury is, but he's done for the year because of the arm. So that's a little bit yikes city on that front.
Unfortunate. He's the 18th round pick last year, 19th round pick. He was one of the last picks of the draft last year. And he just went out there and he threw the ball very well. Now, I'm going to say this, and I'm not saying that they're the same guy because they're not. But when you watch him throw, when you watch his kind of delivery and you watch his athleticism, you just watch his presence on the mound, you watch the pitch shape, there's some Brian Wu in this wind up and the ease of the delivery. Now, he doesn't throw as hard as Wu, but he might someday because he's a good athlete. It's a very clean delivery. It's very simple, and he's throwing 92, 93. He also throws from that low arm slot like Wu does. Very similar, attack angles there. So the fastball is going to play up a little bit more, even though it's only 92, 93 right now. It's a four-seamer that has run, which is kind of rare. It plays up in the zone because it's thrown from such a low arm angle as well. Pretty good slider. Throws enough strikes. I wouldn't say has pinpoint control and command like Wu did or does right now, but he also had 2 outings where he walked 4 guys each, and that really ballooned his overall walk percentage. But yeah, this is a guy very athletic down the mound, very easy delivery, smooth mechanics. The ball explodes out of his hand. He's got a pretty good slider and a fastball that I think is going to play up better than the metrics would suggest because of the low arm angle, because he pitches at the top of the zone. This is a guy who, if he wasn't hurt, he would be a prime candidate to go to the high performance camp and try and get, an extra 3-4 miles an hour out of that fastball. Maybe, we'll see what the injury is, but maybe he's a drive line guy who can go and get, get a couple more ticks, because if he's throwing 94, 95 from that arm slot with the slider and the ease of his delivery, he's got a shot. He's got a shot to be a starter. And at the very least, he has a good shot to be a reliever, but he's a good reliever, but he's got to be healthy first and foremost. And he does. I think the velo is going to be is going to be pretty important to him. So he's got to be able to throw a little bit firmer, but there's a lot of tools here to like, and he got off to a really good start in his first 10 professional outings. But again, unfortunately, the arm injury is real. And I've just, because I don't know the severity of it, I just felt like I had to put him on the list where I did before the arm injury happened. And so I kept him where I had him originally.
All right. We will wrap up prospects through 30 through 21 in just a moment. But first, a reminder, this episode of the Locked On Mariners podcast is brought to you by Gameday Hue. Today's episode is brought to you by Gameday Hue, and so is this hat that I'm wearing. For Mariners fans like me, this one hits the mark. Gameday Hue makes clean, no logo gear with team-inspired colorways for every pro and college fan base. It's all about letting your colors speak for you. No giant logos, just smart, versatile style that works on game day, on the course, or anywhere in between. The hat pairs perfectly with my usual gear. It doesn't replace my team's logo stuff. It just adds to the lineup. It's the kind of hat that reps your team without screaming it. Subtle, but still says everything. And it's not just hats. Check out their split shade gloves, made for the golf course or the perfect gift for the fan who has everything. Right now, you can get 15% off with promo code MLB15 at GamedayHue.com. That's GamedayHue.com. The code even stacks on bundle deals, so now's the time to load up. Let your colors talk, because colors speak louder than words. That's GamedayHue.com. Promo code MLB15. And you're listening to the Locked On Mariners podcast. We are ranking prospects 30 through 21 in the Mariners farm system, and we still have numbers 24, 23, 22, and 21 left to go on today's show. Let's get into number 24. Brock Roden, utility man, down in AA, 25 years old, comes in at number 28 on Colby's list, number 20 on mine. He was 22 the last time we did this. So I guess since I'm clearly the high man on Brock Roden, I'll tackle this one. Roden, to me, again, talking about probability, talking about, is this guy going to get to the major leagues? I think he will. We know how good he is defensively. He was obviously hurt this year. He's only played in 34 games at the AA level this season, but he's really hitting. 294, 355, 478, 144 WRC plus. He's actually shown some pop as well. The one concern here, and it really is just the lone concern, the strikeout rate. He's striking out 31% of the time right now. That's not good. That has to go down, especially for his
as
profile.
a 25-year-old.
Yeah, as a 25-year-old. Yeah, as a 25-year-old. So that's a bit of an issue. That's quite a big red flag there.
Yeah.
But outside of that, this is a guy that, again, he's getting on base a ton. He plays really good defense at multiple spots. He steals some bags. He does take a fair amount of walks as well. So he does counteract the strikeouts a little bit, but the strikeout rate is still way, way, way too high. However, I would say that, honestly, I kind of feel like if you're looking for the Dylan Moore replacement in the organization, this is actually the guy, not Ben Williamson.
The reason he was, quote, so low on my list is he's a 25-year-old who's striking out 30% of the time at AA.
Yeah.
Like, for me, that is really hard to overlook. I don't really care how good the glove is. I don't really care how good of a runner he is. And he's a good runner, but he's not like an absolute burner who's going to, steal 35 bases. Not that he's going to play enough to steal 35 bases, because the bat just isn't going to be everyday quality. But yeah, I do think that there's a shot that he's Dylan Moore. I mean, Dylan Moore strikes out a lot, but I do think that's a shot. And that's obviously his ceiling, is that like he's like a Dylan Moore type of guy who, plays a couple times a week, comes off the bench late to, play defense or try and steal a money bag. I don't think he has the same power or bat speed that Dylan Moore does. But yeah, it's tough for me to sit here and say like, oh, he puts the ball in play. And it's like, not really. I mean, 69% of the time. Nice. He does. And he does have a pretty high success rate of turning that limited contact into, base hits and whatnot. So I like the guy fine. I think he's a utility guy off the bench. But again, the strikeout rate, spending most of the year at 25 years old, I would really like to see him up in Tacoma for the last month of the season. I think you need to see what you have there. But I still think this is an intriguing player. It's just the strikeout rate and the age. He is older than most AA guys, and he's not. He's hitting, but he's not really hit. Like, to me, I think it's important because of the lack of power that Roden shows that he can hit for some average. And I don't think the success rate of guys striking out 31% of the time at AA at 25 years old, going to the big league level and finding a way to hit 260, 270, I don't think that's a very big, overlap. So I have concerns about that. But is he a big leaguer? Yeah, I think he will be. And I think he'll be a pretty good one for a couple years, at least, just based on the glove and the base running alone.
All right, coming in at number 23. Is this the first 2025 draftee we have on this list? Yeah,
it is.
He is. Yeah, Grant J. 21 years old, comes in at number 23 on both of our lists.
Yeah, if you ask Joe Doyle, he thinks he can catch. Like, he's a legitimate catcher, which was not the consensus because I saw others that said he was a terrible catcher. So it's kind of one of those things. I don't know if he can catch, but the calling card here is power. He is a big power guy, and he's going to swing and miss a ton. So the real question is can he hit for enough power to make the strikeouts irrelevant? Like, and for that to be the case, it feels like he has to be a catcher. Now, if the Mariners think they can make a tweak here and have him make, average contact and not sacrifice too much power, then yeah, he has the arm, he has the athleticism to go play right field, and he might hit 25 homers for you. I think ultimately the Mariners kind of need him to be a catcher and be a backup catcher. And maybe, just maybe, there's some Tom Murphy here is kind of the idea. But it's a really intriguing skill set. The power is legit. And anytime you have a guy, like I'm going to trust Joe on this and say, like, if Joe says he can catch, I think this guy can catch a little bit. And I think he can catch enough with the power that he can be a good backup catcher at the big league level, which is very valuable. Most teams don't have, one catcher, let alone a quality backup catcher. So, I'm interested to see how he goes. I don't know if we're going to see him in Modesto this year or not. It seems like we probably should, but I don't know if we're going to see him or not. But the power is a very real thing. And he's going to be one of those guys that, like, probably is never going to rank super high in our prospect ranks, but is probably going to be, in the top 30 a couple of turns through our re-ranks, and he might be a guy that really pops, and we're like, oh, he's an underrated prospect in the system. But right now it's power, and you're trusting him to stay behind the plate. That's the calling card.
All right, coming in at number 22 is another 2025 draftee, and there were a lot of arms the Mariners took, but Jackson Steinsma is a guy that stood out to both of us, and we were both in agreement on where he should land on this list. 22 on both of our respective lists. Yep. So why Jackson Steinsma? Obviously, again, a lot of arms that could have made this list from the 2025 draft class, and spoiler alert, guys like Dusty Rivas and Colton Shaw didn't make the top 30 here. So why Steinsma over some of those guys?
Yeah, when Oliver Bochter and Joe Doyle both point to this guy as one of their favorite picks in the entire draft, you notice that, and you kind of try and learn as much as you can about the guy. He's from Appalachian State. If he hadn't gotten hurt this last year, might have gone inside the top 5 rounds. He is a big boy, 6'4", listed at 250. But it's a pretty interesting thing. It is he, like I say, he's a big guy, but he moves very well on the mound. It is plus extension, which I like. Velocity 92 to 94, above average spin rates on that pitch. It is a good fastball. He gets down the mound. He's got big size, and there's some real value to the slider as well, and the changeup. So this could be a 3-pitch dude who throws a lot of strikes and gets whiffs on a 4-seam fastball, thanks in large part to the extension. And we don't even know like what his velocity is going to max out at. So again, when 2 guys sit here and tell you like that's one of the best picks in the draft, and 27% whiff rate on the 4-seamer in college, it's a pretty good number. The slider, maybe it's more of a cutter sometimes, is something that has some good shape. It needs work, obviously, which is why he's 22 and why he was a 9th round pick, not a 4th round pick and in our top 15. So Steinsma, good size though, pretty good athlete. I think there's more fastball velo there. Changeup's pretty good, and he throws good amount of strikes. And just again, when those 2 guys say like he's a very Mariner-y like player, like this is the guy they target. Well, typically when the Mariners target a guy with this specific skill set, it works out pretty well for them. So I think they like Steinsma. The fact that he was a 4th, 5th round talent coming off of an injury is something that I needed to pay attention to. So good fastball, good changeup, good athlete, big guy. It sounds like it's really going to come down to how good that breaking ball is. And we'll see what the Mariners can do with that.
All right. Our last prospect of the day coming in at number 21. He's back. The Vanilla Missile, Walter Ford, is back in our top 30 after being left off it the last couple times that we've done this. 30. Yeah. He comes in at number 19 on your list, Colby, 24 on mine. But he's still only 20 years old, down in Modesto. And again, wasn't ranked the last time we did this. But he's had himself a nice bounce back year. The reason that I had him a bit lower than you, still a little concerned about how much swing and miss he's going to get. I'm still just kind of concerned about, like, is he just kind of a fringe number 5 type of dude? Or is he a little bit more than that? Is he a firm number 5? Is he even maybe like a low end 4 eventually? Like, where does Walter Ford wind up? I feel like the stuff should lead to better results than it has, particularly on the swing and miss. Now, he's gotten quite a few whiffs. Like he's had multiple games with like 12 and 13 whiffs, but he's also had quite a few games this year where he's only gotten like 3 or 4 whiffs. So I am a little worried about the consistency and missing bats, but it's nice to see that he's finally kind of started to get it going here and started to go in the right direction again.
Yeah, it was a pretty disastrous 2024. You remember his velocity just dropped into the high 80s, and he was coming out of high school throwing 96, 97. There was an illness there that we don't know exactly what it was, but it took him out of it. And it was just kind of a wasted year, unfortunately, for Harry Ford. But this is a guy who was a 2nd round pick. The Mariners really like him. He's a great athlete. He throws a lot of strikes, a near sub 2 base on ball per 9 guy this year. The sliders and curveball both flash above average to plus. It's just really a matter of, can he get the fastball back? And he's taking good strides this year to do that. He's more 93, 94 with that pitch. But if he can get to 96, 97, we think he can, there's a lot of upside here. Again, he's 6'3". He's about 200 pounds. It's good size, good build, good athlete. He's throwing strikes, potential to have 2+ breaking balls, and the fastball might get there. I don't know if it will or not, and that's going to be the big X factor here that will determine the ceiling, like you were talking about. But it's also worth noting this kid is 20 years old. He's pitching the entire year at 20. Yeah. So yeah, it's a bummer. He basically lost a year due to the illness and all that last year. But I'm with you. I do think he needs to miss more bats. He is getting a good amount of ground balls, which is good to see. But I think it's ultimately going to come down to, can he get his fastball value back? Because all the other tools are here. He needs a fastball value, and he needs to be a little more consistent with the breaking balls, because sometimes they flatten out on him. But again, he's only 20 years old. It feels like he's been in the org forever because he was drafted in 2022. But dude's young, and he's really inexperienced, and there's still a lot of work to do here. So it's
easy to forget how young he is, because again, he's been in the organization for 3 years now.
This is year 3.
Yeah.
I think they probably keep him in Modesto for the rest of the year, and the next year he'll start at Everett. And if he gets off to a good start, shows a little more fastball pacing, and a little more consistency with, I think Ford is going to be at high performance camp this fall. He might even pitch in the fall league. And I think the goal there is to try and get some of the velo back, because again, he throws enough strikes. The breaking balls are good. And yeah, he's young, he's athletic, he's got a great build for it. So all the tools are there. It's just can you get that one little quarter turn on that one little minor adjustment that unlocks everything? If you can't, then he's probably not on this list next year. If you can, he might be top 10. He has that ceiling. Now it's much more likely he's not on this list than he's top 10 next year, mostly because, the Mariners top 10 is ridiculous. But I still really like Harry Ford, and understanding the risk that's associated with him.
Walter Ford.
Sorry. We'll talk about him later. Walter Ford is a really interesting guy for me. And I'm not going to lie, there's a little bit of the pre-draft bias, the vanilla missile.
Hell yeah.
That's going to factor in. I'm sorry, we're not professional prospect rankers. If you want only the facts and the logic, go talk to Joe. But I still see 2+ breaking balls, a fastball that can be plus, athleticism, size, control, demeanor on the mound, and I just think this guy might be a number 3. But we'll see. There's a long way to go, but very encouraging year for Walter Ford this year.
All right, so there you have it. That is prospects 30 through 21.
They get a lot better, guys.
Yeah. Tomorrow will be fun. Prospects 20 through 11. We got some fun names to go over there. And then obviously the top 10 is awesome. It is very
ridiculous.
Good. Yeah. So Thursday is going to be a very fun show. And there might be a surprise or two for some in that top 10 as well. So perhaps. Look forward to that. There might be a surprise or two in 20 through 11 tomorrow as well. So look forward to that. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Locked On Mariners podcast. For Colby Patnode, I'm Titan Gonzalez. Be sure to give us a follow on Twitter at LO_Mariners. You can follow me at Titan Gonzalez and Colby at CPAT11. That's CPAT11. We're also on Blue Sky. You can follow me at TDG, Colby at MLB Colby, and the show at Locked On Mariners. You can also find us on Instagram at Locked On Mariners. Have yourself a beautiful baseball day, and we'll see you next time. Peace.